Hi everybody. Today is November 1st, 2025. I'm getting ready to go grocery shopping with my husband. We're gonna go to a city that's about an hour away to do some more shopping that because we have so many kids, we have to buy certain things like chicken nuggets and stuff in bulk. And so a couple of months we go to the bigger city to get stuff that's harder to get here in this little town we live in. Yesterday was Halloween. It was a lot of fun. I took the kids out for a bunch of stuff after I got off of work. I worked 4 hours in the morning, and then and I had like my costume and stuff all done up for work. And then when I came home, got the kids in their costumes, and we did what we always do. We went trick-or-treating to all the local businesses because everything in our town closes at 5 p.m. except for the grocery stores open till 7. And during the summer, there's a pizza place that I used to work at that stays open till 8. Everything closes early, and the pizza place is closed this time of year anyway, so they're not open currently anyway. But do I want to do the bow? I don't know if I want to do the bow. I think I want to do the bow. This might be too bright of a pink. That's just kind of hilarious. I think this one's a little better. Anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, everything closes early. So we always do, we trick or treat at the businesses early in the day. So it was about like 1 in the afternoon. And that one. And we excuse me, I got heartburn really bad. So we went to all the businesses, and then we came home for a little bit. We went to, there's 2 nursing homes in town. One's a veterans home and one's a regular nursing home. We went to the vets home one because their Halloween activities started a lot earlier. It started at 3. The other one we didn't go to because it conflicted with another party we were going to. All of these parties and stuff are like kid events, not like grown-up parties. So the kids and I had already been walking a while, and then we came home for a little bit again because it started to rain. So we took the car to go to the parties. And Braytag was working. Robbie didn't feel like dressing up, so he didn't go. And Dylan was working. And Rob was still at work. So it was just me, Ronan, Ronan, Taylor, Corbin, Naomi, Ellie, and Theo. Taylor had been working really hard for like 2 months making her costume by hand. She went as this anime character. It's a male character with like these big wings. But ask me what the name is, and I always screw it up, so I'm not even going to attempt it. So she went as this character, Corbin was one of them blow up dinosaurs. Um, Ellie was a sugar glider, flying squirrel. The costume was flying squirrel, but she had decided it was a sugar glider, and so she like corrected everyone that said, "Oh, are you a flying squirrel?" She got really upset by the end of the night. I'm a sugar glider. Okay, you're a sugar glider. Theo was a ninja. Naomi was, well, her costume was supposed to be a fox, but when it arrived, it had the face of a deer and the tail of a cat, so she called it a deer cat. And Ronan was one of his characters from Dungeons and Dragons. He was a druid. And he dressed up our dog Biscuit too and brought Biscuit trick-or-treating with us. It was really cute. We had planned on doing more trick-or-treating than we actually did. Because the plan originally was to go to the first party, and then there's an hour and a half between the first party and the second party. The first party is just at a hotel, and you just literally walk through the hallways. People put candy in your basket, and you just go through this thing. It takes like 10 minutes. There's always a costume contest. So we walk in, and we're one of the first people to show up. And the guy's like, "Oh, are you all one family?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, you win." It's like, cool. And so our prize was a gift certificate for a pool party, a 4-hour pool party. We have to schedule it in advance, so it's probably going to be a couple months before we actually do it because the next couple of months are really busy, and I want it to be on a day when we can all get time off so we can all go. Which, kind of like crosses out the next 2 weeks because the boys' schedule's already out, and and then 2 weeks after that we got other stuff going on, including like Thanksgiving stuff, and then in December we've already got a bunch of things planned on our days off, so it's probably going to be maybe January when we schedule it, but that'll be really fun. Looking forward to that, and I know the kids are too. Anyway, so after the first party, we came back home to empty out their candy bags. Basically, I gave each of my kids a reusable shopping bag to put their stuff in. And they were like, I'm going to say 3/4 full at that point. So we switched them out for different bags. And we were going to go trick-or-treat. Basically, I drove to the other side of town, and we were going to park where the other party was going to start like an hour later. And we were going to get out and trick-or-treat like we do every year. But it started raining, and not just raining, it started hailing. So we just sat in the car for about a half an hour, and then we went inside and we just sat in this, like, it's an old school building. So we just sat in the one side of the building where like the offices used to be. Like that building is like kind of a multi-purpose building now. There's a church that meets there, and it was the church putting on this this party. Yeah, there was a what else is there? There's a business there that my husband actually used to work for. It hasn't been a school in a long, long time, but when my husband was a kid, it was a school, and he went to grade school there. But anyway, so we just kind of hung out there for a little while, and there was other people too, because we weren't the only ones that had the same plan of, leaving the cars there in the parking lot and going trick-or-treating, because a lot of people do that every year, but sometimes the weather just doesn't cooperate. One year we got snowed on. 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. We were trick-or-treating, and it started like this wet, heavy snow, and it was really awful. And of course, because we're up where it's cold, kids have to wear the heavy jackets over top of their costumes, or get costumes that are bigger so you can wear a jacket underneath it. But so we just kind of hung out until the party started, and then the kids all kind of dispersed. The rain had stopped, and Robbie rode his bike across town to come help out at the party because he knows that like Halloween's been very overwhelming for when the kids were younger, and I would get really overwhelmed having to deal with it all by myself because my husband just really didn't participate. He didn't participate this year either, unfortunately. But it was actually not too bad. It wasn't very stressful. Because the kids are all getting older and they were able to just kind of disperse at the party, and I just picked a place to sit and just kind of stayed there. And so I was like in the corner, so I had view of the whole room, so I could see all the kids, pick them out of the crowd. Some years that party gets really crowded, like thousands of people. This year it wasn't so much, probably because of the weather. And they've got party games and like a cake walk game, and my kids won a bunch of cupcakes and bottles of pop and candy and toys and stuff. So when I was a kid, my mom would always take most of my Halloween candy. She called it the mom tax, and she would just take everything. I was never really allowed to have my Halloween candy. When I even did get to go trick or treating, which wasn't very often because she also thought that Halloween was evil, so I didn't get to go trick or treating until I was like 13, and then she would just take all the candy. No, maybe I was like 11 or 12, and it was her second husband that had us trick or treating. He moved out when I was 13, so I think the first time I went trick or treating was I was like 11, and she dressed me up as a trash bag. I'm not even kidding. She wouldn't get me a costume, and she wasn't the kind to like make stuff. I had made some like kitty ears out of cardboard or something, and she was like, "No, I want you to wear the costume I made." So I did like gray face paint because I wanted to be a cat. She had me wear a trash bag. So it was like I was just dressed in a trash bag with a gray painted face and like a little black nose. I don't even know. It was ridiculous. But anyway, so I've never been the mom that takes my kids candy. Like I might ask them for a piece or two, but I don't take their candy. So the kids they each have their own bags, and yeah, another thing my mom would do was she would make us dump out all our candy and like put it in one thing. Okay, fine, whatever. That's not that big of a deal, I guess. But my kids, they all had a ton of candy. I wasn't gonna make them do that. So they sit down like mafia bosses, and they do this every year. They sit down with their piles of candy and they negotiate and they trade, and they're like, my deal with them is like, if you make a trade, both of you have to be happy with the trade. It has to be fair. And my kids have learned the art of negotiation. So they're sitting there making trades with each other, and everybody's happy. And like, I'm just sitting there watching this all play out as they're like mob bossing each other, but like in a respectful way. It was hilarious though. And then this morning, Ellie and Thea, they said, "Mom, you didn't get any Halloween candy." I said, "Mommy doesn't need any Halloween candy, honey. I've got other treats. If I want something, I can always go to the store. It's not a big deal." And she says, "Well, if you did have Halloween candy, what would you want? What would your favorite Halloween candy be?" And I said Kit Kats and Reese's, because those are my favorite chocolates. Well, my favorite, like regular chocolates. I like dark chocolate better than like overly sweetened chocolate, but Kit Kats and Reese's are pretty good. Anyway, so Ellie and Theo and Naomi, they kind of disperse again. And they come back to me with an armload of Kit Kats. And Reese is, I'm like, you guys don't have to give me your candy. And they're like, no, Mom, we want you to have it. We have a ton of candy. And they would not leave until I ate a Kit Kat in front of them to prove that I was eating a piece of candy. It was so funny. I'm like, you guys are adorable. And I was like, Mom, we have so much and you should have some too. I was like, oh guys, but I don't want to take your candy away. And they just kind of rolled their eyes and they're like, Mom, usually you give us stuff all the time. Like, even the stuff that's meant for you. I was like, yeah, I mean, I do, because, like, I have some fancy dark chocolates. And if the kids ask for them, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll share. My parents were not like that. My mom was always of the mind that the parents get the good stuff and the kids get the leftovers. And I've never treated my kids like that, ever. I've always been like, I'm going to give my kids the best of everything and I will have the leftovers. I'm going to, if we only have enough for, one portion of something, I'm going to divide it up and give it to the kids. Unless it's something like protein powder or, like, stuff that you don't give kids, stuff that's like for me, for like losing weight or building muscle or something. That's different. My kids have very much picked up on that, and they're always trying to do stuff like that. The other day, a young lady we know, I'm not gonna say who, she called us crying because she's working full time, but she did not have enough money for food. She was not asking us for anything. She's like, it's so frustrating. She's like, I've been eating canned soup for weeks. I've got nothing else, and I just ran out of canned soup. And she said she called her mom, and her mom was like, too bad, you're an adult, figure it out. Now this girl only turned 18 a few months ago, and basically her parents are like, bye. And they're like, fine, if you want to be adult, go do it all on your own. This girl is barely an adult. And unfortunately, it seems like, when a child is under 18, the parents have to, at least one of the parents has to have their name on the kid's account in order for the kid to have a bank account. I have my name on my kids' account, but I do not touch their money. That is their money. I do not touch it. And the day they turn 18, I take my name off of it. Because you know why? My mom took my money out of my accounts that I worked for. And I will not do that to my kids. Unfortunately, this poor young woman, her parents did take her money just a few days before she turned 18. They emptied her accounts. And there's nothing she can do about it legally. So she's got nothing. She's been able to make enough to cover her rent, but all of her savings is gone. And I was like, honey, poor thing. But anyway, she had called Robbie. And Robbie's first reaction was, send me your address. I'm going to DoorDash you some food. Like, he didn't even think twice. She's like, are you serious? She's like, I wasn't asking for anything. He's like, no. Everyone deserves to eat. I'm going to make sure you can eat tonight. So, I was at work at the time. And when I got home, he told me about this. And I was like, do you still have her address? Yeah. And I cashed out him some money. And I was like, DoorDash her some, like, boxes of ramen noodles. And we're going to try to get this girl's pantry filled up as much as we can. And I wanted to send her more, but she's moving to a different apartment in like a week. So, I gotta send her stuff that can travel easily and won't go bad. And she texted me and she was crying and she's like, you didn't have to do that. I wasn't asking for anything. I was like, I know, honey. You deserve to eat too. I was like, they're gonna let you go hungry. I was like, it breaks my heart that this girl's parents didn't step in. Like, okay, I guess the argument can be made, well, you're 18, you're an adult. Yeah, but she's just 18. My parents were like that too. As soon as I was 18, I was still in high school when I was 18 because my mom didn't let me go to kindergarten when I was supposed to. She kept me back a year. And I could have graduated a year early, but then I didn't want to leave my friends. So I didn't. I didn't graduate a year early, even though I had finished most of my coursework, and I only needed like 1 credit to graduate early, which I could have done over the summer. I chose to stay the rest of the year, and I took a bunch of like art classes and stuff, and did like some college work. Oh, I've got a call coming. I better answer it. I'll see you guys